But what really happened to Stalingrad, the city that became a legend of World War II? In the heat of summer 1942, a single man became fixated on a city that stood as a symbol. Its capture would echo across the world. The city guarded a mighty river and the gateway to vital resources. But more than that, it was a prize of pride. To seize it would be to claim a victory over an entire nation's spirit. The plan was bold, almost arrogant. Sweep in, take the city, and prove to all that nothing could stand in his way. The stakes were personal, the risks enormous, but the reward, unmatched propaganda glory for Hitler. Soviet maps were spread across tables, the battle plan was set. Every move was calculated, every advance was a step closer to victory or disaster. The city's defenders, faceless and silent, waited behind the bombed-out rubble, knowing fully well that what was coming was to be stopped by all means. As the offensive began, the Soviet military found out that this was not just another battle. It was the opening move in a struggle that would test the limits of their ambition, endurance, and fate itself. But the defenders were ready. Orders from Joseph Stalin were simple: hold the line, no matter the cost. There would be no retreat, no surrender. If the city was to fall, it would be paid for in blood, brick by brick. The stage was set for a confrontation unlike any before. A clash where the outcome would shape the fate of millions. August 1942, the Germans bombed the crap out of Stalingrad. The whole city erupts in flames and smoke as German bombs rain down, shattering streets and lives in a single breath. The city vanishes beneath clouds of dust and flame. No one knows where the front line is anymore. In the ruins, Soviet soldiers stumble through shadows, unsure if the enemy is a block away or right above them. Every shattered window hides a German threat. Every alley echoes with gunfire and screams. The Germans expected a swift victory, but the city fights back. Houses become fortresses. Stairwells and cellars turn into battlegrounds. Confusion reigns. No one is safe, not for a second. Upstairs, downstairs, men fight for every floor, every room. The city is a maze of death, and both sides realize this is no ordinary siege. This is a descent into unknown chaos. Inside the shattered factories and ruined apartments, Soviet defenders turned each floor, each room into a fortress. Sometimes the fighting was so close you could hear the other side breathing through the walls. The Germans called it Rattenkrieg, the Rat War. Men crawled through sewers, fought in pitch-black basements, and vanished in clouds of dust and fear. No one felt safe, not for a second. Legends grew in the darkness, like the defenders of Pavlov's house, who held out against the Germans for weeks. But for every hero, there were 100 men haunted by what they saw, knowing the worst was still to come. By November, the city looked lost. German flags flew over shattered buildings, and their commanders believed the fight was nearly over. In Hitler's smoky briefing rooms, officers congratulated each other, certain that Stalingrad would soon be theirs. But then, on November 19th, a thunderous barrage erupted unexpectedly. The ground shook with distant Soviet artillery. Something was happening, something big. This was Operation Uranus. The Soviet counterattack has just begun. Soviet forces surged forward, catching the enemy off guard. Tanks rolled through snow and smoke, smashing into the German flanks. Panic spread. Radios crackled with desperate calls as entire units vanished in the whiteout. In just days, the Germans became surrounded. A ring of steel closed in and confusion reigned. No one could believe it. The tide had turned in a single shattering blow, and the outcome was suddenly uncertain for everyone. The city, once nearly conquered, was now a trap, and nobody knew who would escape. January 1943, the city is silent, broken. The German Sixth Army, once unstoppable, now trapped, starving and surrounded. Every day hope slips further away. Men gnaw on frozen horse meat, their faces hollow with hunger. They burn anything they can find, furniture, books, even uniforms, just to keep the cold at bay. Frostbite claims fingers and toes. In the trenches, men freeze to death, their bodies locked in the last moments of agony. On January 31st, the once mighty German army commander, Field Marshal Paulus, surrenders, defeated not just by the enemy but by the city itself. By February 2nd, the last pockets of resistance are crushed. The nightmare is over. For the survivors, only silence and snow remain. Out of 300,000 men, just 90,000 stumble into captivity. Most never saw home again, and the Soviets kept pushing all the way to Berlin, the capital of Hitler's Germany. Stalingrad, the name echoes through history, as a graveyard for Hitler's mighty army. This was where the tide turned, where endurance broke the invincible, and where World War II changed forever.